Welcome to the FinTech Short Pros AI, where we spotlight entrepreneurs revolutionizing financial services and technology transforming businesses. For those joining us, we are Pros AI, where we specialize in helping FinTech companies and other tech businesses scale revenue and reduce operational cost through AI. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, stick around. And if you want a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs and we'll get back to you. But most importantly, today, I want to introduce our guest. And our guest today is Alejandra Slatapolsky.
Good job.
Alejandra Slatapolsky, co-founder of Miami FinTech Club, an organization that is becoming the connective tissue of South Florida's exploding FinTech ecosystem. In just 2 years since launching in October 2023, Alejandra has built one of the most exclusive FinTech communities in the Americas and created a unique bridge between North America capital and Latin America FinTech innovation. She's also co-founder of creative consultancy, Scalto. Welcome to the show, Alejandra.
Thank you so much, Osman. Thank you for having me.
Alejandra, let's start with your journey. Tell our audience who's Alejandra. What's the origin of both Miami FinTech Club and Scalto? If you can give us a brief walkthrough.
Okay, Scalto was born about 5 years ago from the need of my partner and I, Gabriela Pulido, of defining a very strong methodology for organizations to plan and execute their market positioning strategies. And what I mean by market positioning, I mean both all of your brand and your communications and the way that you own the space in the market that you want to own.
Right.
That means that we defined our own methodology to plan. There is a business planning perspective there. Then build a story, which is both creating a brand and creating the communications and the story around that brand. And then going to market and actually customer journey design and marketing plan. That's our methodology. And we also created a whole team behind it that actually executes on that methodology, executes on the marketing plan. So we have a big marketing execution team that specializes in financial services, fintech, and technology. We've always been at the since we're in Miami, we've always been at the intersection of LATAM, Europe, and US because we are the connectors here. And that has come naturally. So we've helped international companies enter the US, and a lot of US companies actually market themselves into LATAM too. And organically, and because I've spent the last 23 years in Miami and I've seen it grow, and I've been in the financial services industry my whole life, we created the Miami FinTech Club. And the Miami FinTech Club has become a very strong community of all of the players involved in FinTech, which is a lot, right? It's a very varied community. You have banks, you have actual FinTechs, you have all of the vendors around that, and all of the VC community that's also interested in FinTech. So all of those come together in the Miami FinTech Club.
Right.
As far as myself, yes, I've been in financial services, I say since I was born, because I was born into an entrepreneurial family in financial services. And for some reason it stuck with me. So, but always from the communications point of view. I have a mind focused on communications, branding, and positioning. I was a journalist for a while, and then after that, I went to become the head of communications for a boutique investment bank. But it's always been on that aspect of building brands that people trust and creating communities and creating space for companies to have their offering and
Right.
grow.
And this is the gap that you saw because you're running Scalto successfully. You've worked in major financial institutions, and then you saw this gap. What specific gap did you see that said now is the time to build a community?
So I saw two gaps. One
Right,
gap first, when I was the head of communications for the investment bank, what happened was that actually I started trying to find vendors
right,
to help me execute on my marketing plan. And it was really hard. Why? Because I would come into agencies and consultants and ask them, what's your financial services experience? And they would maybe talk about launching a credit card,
mm,
right? Or doing retail banking. But the space where I was in was, wealth management, hedge funds. Um, Nobody was taking that. Nobody was truly understanding that niche. So when I
right,
left the bank, I said, okay, let me take on that. I'm going to become that vendor that I couldn't find.
mm,
So that was one. Then, in terms of the community, the second realization was when um, I started having more time in my entrepreneurial path. When you get started, you're an entrepreneur, you're doing everything yourself. So you're really like hunking down in your office in your computer all day, right?
right,
But after a while, you build your team, you build your processes, and you have a tiny more time to see, okay, now I can get out and sell, which is
right,
what you should always be doing. So I started looking for networking opportunities, and I was ending up in tech events because the tech community in Miami was growing, but it was a very different space than what I was looking for. The tech bros, the tech students or the young guys trying to launch their companies are awesome. I love them, but that was
right,
not what I was looking for. And then
right,
I had on the other end of the spectrum all these wealth management events that are very well put,
mm,
but don't have the space for the conversation. And in those spaces, generally, you're talking about economic outlook, product offering, fund management. Like, there's no space for the type of conversation that I wanted to have that is around growth, right? Because
right,
that's what I help companies do. So basically, a couple of the people that I knew in the industry also came up with, hey, I don't want to go to happy hours anymore. Let's do something that has like some true meat to eat in terms of content.
right.
So that's how it showed up. And we just said, let's do one fintech event and see what happens. We did one, we did two, we did three, and people kept coming back. And now, like, everybody's really engaged. And then all of the organizations started coming up and also
Right.
wanted to be engaged. International organizations, we did a lot of partnerships. So it's been great in that sense.
Amazing. And I mean, just going back to the launch, I saw, in October 2023, you hosted an inaugural Miami FinTech Lab event with, great keynote speakers at the PwC offices. And I saw testimonials. Every founder resonated with this keynote. The energy was incredible. Finally a FinTech community in Miami. Paint the picture. What was the vibe like in the room, and why do you think it clicked so much with the network that you brought in?
Um, I think it clicked because people were actually looking for that space. They were looking to connect with other senior leaders in the industry. I always say, and because in every single event that we put together, one new fintech entrepreneur shows up,
Right.
and I'm always saying, "Where were you hiding?" I'm like, why are you hiding? And I'm not talking about early stage. I'm talking about established fintech entrepreneurs that are
Right.
just, they're still in the grind and they're not, connecting with others. And they need to. They need to connect with others because I think that in fintech, one of the greatest um, the greatest strategies for growth is partnerships. I'm not even
Right.
talking about going out and selling your product. I'm talking about connecting with the rest of the ecosystem. That's what you need in fintech for growth. So that's why it's so important. And I think that's what they were looking for. That's why
Right.
that first event was so successful too. People were like, oh my God, they're actually now finally putting together something that I can identify with. And then
Right.
not only the fintech one. So that first event we had fintech founders, but then we had a lot of banks show up too because they were like, okay, good. Now I can source in one single place. I don't have to go everywhere and
Right.
Google and go to every single event. Here I'll find all the local fintechs.
Mhm.
Um, and then VCs showed up. VCs surprised me a lot. Like actually VCs have a ton of challenges too, and that surprised me too.
Right, because you would be expecting that VCs have it all covered, they get all the pipeline that they want, but you realize what was unique about the VCs joining? I mean, what was their challenge? Is it like looking for fintech companies to connect with? What was their unique challenge?
Well, with VCs, I think they have the same challenges we all have. It's
Mhm.
just that they have this sort of aura around them that seems that they don't. But they have they have two main audiences, right?
Right,
They have the prospective companies and the investors. And they
right,
both have to have an amazing perception of their organization in order for them to convince them to work with them.
right.
So, and VCs, there's a small amount of VCs that have a recognizable brand and
Mhm.
that are doing a great job at attracting both audiences. Why?
Right.
Because VCs have always been a very lean organization.
Mhm.
They don't have the luxury of working with, a lot of an operational base because they just feel like they shouldn't.
Right.
But they should have the margin. They just don't have, sometimes they don't have the cash flow, but they have the margin, right?
Mhm.
So they have the same challenges most organizations have. They have to lure in the best companies, the best fintechs, and they
Right.
have to lure in investors. And a lot of the times also they go into these feast famine mode
Mhm.
because it's okay, I'm fundraising, let's go. And once they fundraise, they're like, okay, let me now find the companies. And they don't have the systems that they need for those two things to happen continuously. And
I
that's
see.
the main opportunity for VCs to build a brand and to build the systems on both sides for the stakeholders to,
Right.
for a flow to be continuously built.
Right. And for our audience, people who are watching this probably maybe based in Miami or in Florida, you know, what is talk us through like the typical where can they find you? How do they join? What is the process? I know you have a very strict curation process. It's not just an open door. As you said, it's not another happy hour. It's meaningful. What is that criteria for somebody who wants to join for fintech, who wants to join?
So we have three levels of membership right now.
Right.
We have the free membership that will give you access to our, open events. We have open and closed events, and will give you access to an online platform where you'll see all of the other members. Then we have a paid membership tier in which you have priority access to closed events, actually only access to members only events, and priority access to the open ones because the open ones also have a limit on the amount of people that we can host. And then we're launching, new benefits all the time, but we've partnered with a lot of events that have provided a lot of free tickets or reduced tickets to other events that we partner with. For
Right.
example, we have NerdCon, Blockchain Futurist, American Business. All of those events are happening now in the city and sometimes even in Mexico and other cities around Latin America. We have partnerships with and we provide discounts for our members. And then we have the top tier that is, we call it Circle, that is our circle of ambassadors. And that's a closed by invitation only. and it's industry leaders that we get together and we work both on our networking and on thinking ways to grow the industry and grow the club too.
Amazing. And your positioning is also fascinating. You know, you're connecting South Florida fintech scene with entrepreneurial talent, also eyeing Latin America. Miami, of course, has natural advantage as the gateway between those two regions, but advantage and execution is different. How do you actually practically build those bridges between the two regions? How does it work?
So it's in Latin America, in Miami, it's sort of easy, honestly, because at least 50% of businesses have some tie to Latin America.
Right.
I also travel a lot around Latin America, go to events and meet a lot of people, of course. And we have partnerships with different organizations around LATAM that,
Right.
I don't know, just now one of our co-founders went to the Tech Week in Mexico.
Mhm.
We collaborated with Open Finance, with fintech organizations, local, for example, even the Argentinian Cordoba fintech organization is one of our partners. We just did an event with Pro Chile, that is an organization that promotes tech companies, Chilean tech companies in Miami. So
Right.
basically, again, it's all about partnerships. We look for other organizations also that have aligned interests with
Right.
us and
Mhm.
create those spaces. We also create like closed spaces that I love, smaller spaces too, because they lend to more discussion and more interaction and to get to know the people better.
That's great. I mean, it's a natural. I mean, as you said, because you know, if 50% of the businesses have that connection to Latin America, and with your presence and your travel, I mean that really helps with the connection. Um, you in terms of growth, what's the vision? What where do you see the Miami, you know, FinTech Club? Where do you see this going? If you look at the next 3 to 4 years.
Well, we're going to continue growing our membership base, but we're also going to create educational programs for executives. That's
Right.
one thing that's down the pipeline.
Mhm.
And we hope to, in 3 years, maybe also launch some sort of interaction, some
Mhm.
sort of structure in which we can influence regulatory actions
Mhm.
in a way, or at least provide feedback to the government about the regulatory environment for fintech.
That's quite a vision to have, and I think this is needed because you know, coming as a group, you know, putting all those minds together, it's a lot easier, and it's also a place for the government actually to tap into to see we have all these great minds here together. Let's see how they can help us shape the future. Now, let's pivot maybe a bit to Scalto. What's happening there? How do you see things from your perspective? Who are your customers, and what benefits do you bring to your customers?
So at Scalto, we help um, mostly fintech, financial services, B2B companies
Right.
gain more recognition in their niche. And when I say in their niche, it's very, very important to me. We work with very purposeful and specific niche to help each of our clients leave a mark there. So we want nowadays what we see in the market positioning and the advertising and the lead generation space is that, for example, the cost of acquisition keeps going up, right? It gets getting harder for people to land a client. Why?
Right.
I attribute it to the noise.
Mhm.
There is hundreds, millions, and billions of messages sent every single day by brands,
Right.
by people, right? So that noise makes it much, much harder to get through to your buyer.
Right.
You need to get much more specific, one, in who your buyer is, two, what their problem is
Right.
that you're solving for them, and
Mhm.
then three, how you're going to get to them and how you're going to get through that noise.
Mhm.
Um, so we work with our clients to create a recognizable brand that goes in parallel with creating communication channels. And um, for Scalto, we've been growing a lot in that sense. We've been becoming the de facto marketing engine behind our clients, and it's been a great ride in that sense. It's been awesome. We're building a team. Well, we'll continue to expand our team in that sense. And also, we are developing a lot of AI tools to help us through that.
Talking of AI, you sort of read straight into my next question. I know that in August you also hosted an event, AI and money. Can FinTech truly embrace AI in partnership with the Emerge Americas? This is a question that is wrestling. Is it hype? Is it reality? From your vantage point, seeing hundreds of FinTech founders and investors in your community, what's your take? Is AI genuinely transforming fintech beyond just a buzzword?
Wait, let me see. I think that we all have an expectation of AI because of the hype
Right.
that it has, that is going to go a little bit faster than we think it's going to go. So if I run the parallel with, for example, the adoption of e-commerce. When e-commerce first came out, everybody was like, okay, all of the stores are dead. We're done. Let's close our doors and it's gone. And it's like
Right.
in 2 months, we're done. We're gonna be dead. And the reality was another one, right?
The shops are still there.
The jobs are there, and but it's not about the technology, it's about the adoption.
Right.
So what slows technology is are humans. Because we're capable of developing, anything.
Right.
The question is who's going to adopt that? Who's going to actually trust that fintech that
Right.
is using an AI agent to answer about their money?
Mhm.
So I trust the hype behind the operational efficiency nowadays. The hype behind operational efficiency, I've tested it and it's true.
Right.
It's completely true, and that's across every single industry. All of our industries can adopt AI and become much more efficient. Client-facing products already have AI embedded in them, right? But client-facing products that require trust building like fintech still we will have a slower adoption
Yeah.
than the rest.
And this is because of the skepticism. People are always quite wary about, how much information do I give? How much is this AI going to? And there needs to be that inflection point where people actually really trust, because fintech is all about trust, right?
That's the issue. Why do I talk about partnerships in fintech and why most fintechs, not all of them, but there are very little fintechs, if you talk globally, that have actually gained the trust of the end user, right? So the B2C fintechs, if you think statistically, the amount of fintechs B2C that have been launched and the
Right.
amount that actually have a space in the mind of the consumer are very little. In the US, even smaller.
Uh,
In the US, what fintech do you trust? For money
right.
transfer, Venmo and Zelle. That's it.
Right.
And how many thousands of fintechs have been launched B2C, right?
Right.
Why is
And
that?
And do you see this as a cultural shift that is required? Because if you talk of Latin America, for example, you talk of Africa, Asia, the view there is very different. Adoption rates are probably much higher, right?
Yes. No, no, much lower actually.
Much lower.
Adoption, yeah. In Latam and Africa,
Right.
they adopted fintech tools much
Right.
faster than in the US.
Right.
Why? Because they were solving for a very real user pain.
Right.
In the US and in Europe, you don't have that much friction in terms, for example, of the payment processing and the peer-to-peer payments, etc. So,
Mhm.
since you don't have that much pain with the tools that you already have, you're not going to adopt new tools.
Adoption rates are lower because of that.
Exactly. So
Right.
in the underdeveloped countries, what happened was like I need a solution, so I'm going to adopt whatever is on the market. I don't need to, there is not that factor of I have to, build that trust,
Right.
right? So your chance of success is higher. But the big unicorns,
Mhm.
um, the big ones actually developed their brand first, or are B2B companies that are behind another brand, right? They are
Right.
structures that have been powering the banks behind the scenes.
Right.
And those have been successful too.
Mhm. Okay.
That's what
And
I've seen.
yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. As you're saying, it's those real life issues that are actually pushing adoption in other areas where there's no friction, things are working, then adoption rates are going to be much lower, especially in fintech. Waiting to see a time when checks will be phased out in the US. It's one of the few places that people still use checks.
I
Um,
know. I've seen I've been pitched several. I've spoken to several companies from Latam, for example, that have WhatsApp as their main platform. And I use WhatsApp and WhatsApp is the app that I use the most on my phone. And I'm in the
right.
US. But
Yeah.
whenever I have to talk to an American friend, I talk via text. And it's it's weird, but I don't know. I don't think, again, they don't have the need. The way that I explain it is if you have an immigrant in the US, they're going to be using WhatsApp. But if
Yeah.
they don't have international contact, they don't have a reason why. Why would
Yeah. I never thought about that actually. That makes a lot of sense. All my contacts are on WhatsApp. I'm texting people in Africa, in the US, in Asia, because I mean it's WhatsApp. It's a lot easier for me. But if all your contacts are local, then you're not going to bother to use it. Looking strategically for you, whether it's for the FinTech Lab, whether it's Calto, what are you looking to do now in terms of whether it's customer acquisition? How do you typically acquire your customers? What's your go-to-market strategy? I know you advise companies also on this. How do you typically acquire your clients? How do your clients come to you? Do you look for them?
So at first, well, my first phase always is building awareness
Right,
about my expertise. So the first phase of Scalto was about content marketing, right? Start with building who we are, etc. Then the second phase was building community, and that's the Miami FinTech Club. And that creates a lot of market awareness too.
right,
And that has created some inbound. And then I do a combination of the three. You have to have content marketing, you have to have outbound strategies like advertising, etc. And you have to have community building.
right,
Sometimes it's overwhelming for companies or entrepreneurs to see the three. So what we try to do is to integrate the three of them in a way. So we create a calendar of events, we create a calendar of content production, and then we incorporate the advertising into it. Um, so that it's a simple flow of production that they don't have to put that much into it. But that's the way we do it actually. And the way we do it, we have our clients do. So
yeah.
that's basically it.
So
No,
if
it's
you,
not simple. It's simple and it's not, right? I try to keep it as simple as possible always. And that's what my team always hears from me. Hey,
yeah,
keep the things simple. Do not overcomplicate. And AI doesn't help with that sometimes. AI
right.
always complicates things and wants you to have like the, you know, the the you know, the McKinsey version of the consulting plan. And I'm like, no, let's keep it
Right.
simple. It's
Keep
simple.
it that, yeah. Something that everyone can easily execute, everyone can easily understand. Now, if you had a magic wand today to solve one challenge, whether that's with your Scalto or with the FinTech Club, I mean, what would that be? What would that be?
Magic Wand would be one single dashboard where I can see all of my KPIs in one place.
Right. All your
Now,
KPIs in one
all
place.
of my business KPIs, financial, uh,
Right.
client deliverables, or client satisfaction, marketing, lead generation, conversion, all of my KPIs, just one place. Productivity, oh,
Right.
that would be awesome.
That's a big magic wand. That's a big magic wand.
That's a true magic wand.
That's a traumatic one. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, thank you very much. That has been really, really insightful, and I think you're doing a lot of amazing things. We've explored quite a number of things there, you know, from your journey to the FinTech, the Miami FinTech Club to what you're doing with Scalto. Is there anything else that you'd like our audience to take away from today?
Um, well, that nothing and not everything that shine is gold. That everything takes a lot of work and effort.
Right,
And I know it's a very like repeated phrase, but um if you don't like if you don't enjoy the work, it's
right.
really hard
Mhm.
because you have to keep at it. So just keep at it one step at a time, and that's what I can say that I always do and I keep doing.
Yeah, and it's I mean that's spot on. I mean, as you said, it's message that is repeated a lot. I've interviewed a lot of people in this series, and I hear the same message. You know, work hard and do this. But it's also good for people to hear it from successful people because sometimes people think if somebody is successful, it just happened. It's grinding. People have put in the effort, and it's good to keep passing this message.
Whenever I see somebody that has been successful, I always look back. Like I have a couple of friends that I see now in their 40s that have like reached a nice level of success in their careers. And I've known them since they were 20. And I always like whenever somebody says, "Oh, that guy, did you see what he did?" And I'm like, he's always been a hard worker. I knew it. Like I always look back because
Right.
you don't want to fantasize success. It's like it's an overnight success built in 10 years, you know. It's always like
Yes.
that.
Especially in today's world with instant gratification, I think it's a good message also, especially for the younger generation, because people are very much used to instant gratification. ChatGPT will give you the answers very quickly, or you can get Netflix series, over and over. So it's good for people to take that reality check.
I always tell my kids actually, if you believe the YouTuber that has a success is the same as if I had believed the princesses of Disney growing up were real. So no, it's not. It's not real. So like what do you watch on YouTube? What do you watch on Instagram? It's not
Right.
real. It's the same as the movies. So as long as you keep that in check, you'll be fine.
That's a very good analogy. It took me a couple of seconds there to synthesize it a bit. Alejandra, where can our audience connect with you, learn more about your businesses, about the FinTech Club? Where can they connect with you?
Well, my business is calto.com. The Miami FinTech Club is miamifintechclub.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn too. My name is the only one that's going to show up.
Right. Right, that's amazing. Thank you all for tuning in. If you found this episode as insightful and useful as we did, please hit the subscribe and share with someone in the fintech community who's building in or expanding to Latin America, or anyone passionate about community-driven ecosystem growth. You can find more episodes and other resources on our website, on YouTube, Spotify, and LinkedIn. Alejandra, thank you again very much for sharing those insights. And we can't wait to see where the club gets, the Miami FinTech Club gets to. But again, we can't wait to have you again back on the show at some point.
More than happy to do it. Thank you, Osman.
Thank you very much. And for everyone else tuning in, we'll be back again next week with another episode with another entrepreneur reshaping the financial services. Until then, keep building and keep working hard. Thank you, everyone.